Good afternoon, friends. I'm very, very excited for this live. This is day one of the series Own It that my good friend Telma is doing for her book launch series, which her book is Own Your Dance. So I'm very, 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 very excited and honored to be a part of this series and getting to have another wonderful conversation with my good friend Telma. I'm just waiting for her to join. It might be a little early, and we are on different time zones, so it might take her a minute. So she's doing, if I counted correctly, she has a 2-week series, and today is day one of the series. Oh, she's joining. Trying to just come in, friends.
Hi,
Hello. How are you?
good. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very excited.
Me too. I'm so excited for this conversation.
So I was just telling our friends that this is day one of your series, which is super exciting. I think I have it as 2 weeks, right? You have a 2 week
Yeah,
long series. So this is very exciting.
very exciting, and I so appreciate you being my first live of the live series.
Oh, I'm so honored. Um, I know you're going to get asked this question a lot, and I kind of already know the answer. But what made you want to write a book?
Yes, I mean, this book came about mostly because I had two kids, not one, but two kids. And in that process, I wanted to take a trip. I wanted to hike the Grand Canyon rim to rim with my husband. It's something that it's been in my bucket list for forever, and I was training on it. But my husband lost his dad at a young age. So
Mm.
he said that in order for us to go, we needed to leave everything ready just in case. And I didn't really think much of it. I just really quickly agreed, like, sure, the trip's already paid for, we're already training, we're still going. And I didn't realize it kind of included a set of very different, like, difficult questions. So when I was sitting in the office putting a wheel together, in case something was to happen to us, God, I felt so wrong. Like I felt
Mm.
so broke. Like this is not okay. This is not okay. This conversation is not okay. This does not feel good. And I left that room kind of like with the chills, annoyed, mad at my husband. I was like, why would you make me do this? This is a lot of really hard questions. And did you realize that we're like putting everything in paper and now it's all legal? And he's like, yeah, I. That's the whole point. No, I don't
Yeah.
get it. It feels so wrong. If some, so I've never been the type of person to plan for the worst case scenario, and I love that about myself. I'm gonna keep that. But when my husband did that, it made me realize that we were setting a document full of consequences of what would happen if, and then with absolutely no explanation whatsoever. So that's the day that I told my husband, I signed the document, but I am not okay leaving just this document. So I'm gonna write my story. I want to tell my kids to understand why certain decisions are there, why certain expectations are set in there, in writing, legalized. I want them to know like my story from me and fully understand where it came from. And I don't want any mom to have to say, "Oh, but your mom was." I didn't want any perspective to be adding into what I was leaving for my kids. So the book came about as a compliment to this terrible document that is out there as
Yeah.
my kids to have so they can get to know me, my story, and why I am the way that I am through this book.
So it's kind of like a legacy for your kids.
Yeah, it is kind of a legacy. It's kind of like a love letter, kind of like, listen, kiddos, this is what I learned. You might want to think about these one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're definitely not lying. Doing wills are, they bring up a lot of raw stuff, especially you sound like an optimist. If you're an optimist and you have to do a will and you have to think, the questions that get asked of you are questions that you just don't think about normally. And I think that is a lot of raw stuff. I can
Oh,
imagine that coming up.
yeah. And honestly, I totally underestimated the task. I was just like, sure, I'll go, whatever. I bought a coffee. I was ready. I did not expect the questions. And they did not expect my answer. I was like, what did you just ask? What would happen if what? So it was a horrible day. But it got accomplished. Then yes, as an optimist, it's definitely difficult to think. However, I appreciate it now. I see and I respect my husband for his mentality, how prepared he feels, and if that brings him peace of mind, I hope to God and I pray every day that that document never sees the light of day and it's just backup. But definitely set me straight up like, wow, if something was to happen to me, this set of document tells you absolutely nothing of who I am, and yet it's instructing your life to the T.
So while we're bringing up emotions and feelings, writing a book, I know that writing, anybody that's written a book or has started a podcast, that the launch of that, the emotions that come up while writing it and then launching it, what has that been like? What's that journey?
Man, I underestimated the task. I tend to do this pretty often. So we're like, I'm just gonna write a book because my kids are gonna appreciate it, and in my head, I'm like, of course I can do it, right? and I did it, but it was so hard, and it's such a roller coaster, and I totally underestimated the task, and I cried so much, and it forced me to really sit on those moments that I was trying to pass the lesson on to my kids. But in order to do that from an authentic place, it required me to go back to that place, to sit in those emotions all over again. And it was then that I realized, shit, I thought I was over here, all healed and like ready to just write this story and tell you about it. I wasn't. So it was kind of like a really unscheduled healing opportunity.
Yeah.
So it was full of emotions. I cried many times. I definitely thought about giving up so many. My poor husband is so over this book. He's just like, oh my, can we just print it and move on to better things? Because I cannot. I asked him if I just should email all these stories that I had already typed to my, like, why would I be writing a book? I felt like, who am I to be telling the world what to think about? Who am I? And why would my kids take me seriously? And if I'm not even fully healed, all of the things.
Yeah, I can only imagine. What would you say? I would say the emotion part and the bringing up the feelings and like the roller coaster and the healing that you had to go to, would you say that was the hardest part for you?
Yes, because it was completely unexpected.
Yeah.
And I just thought, honestly, that I was already on the other side. And when you're seeing those emotions, you sometimes feel like, oh, wow, it's not fully healed. And I have to go back to do this work, and I have to go back and heal it. Yes. And editing. This book is in English. It's not my first language. And I speak as I talk. Grammar is not my friend. Neither is technology. So for like a day, I lost a copy of the draft, and it was a huge panic. It's just all the little things, right? The perfect storm to really test yourself and the why, like the reason as of why you want to write this book. Why did you commit to this project and all of that? Yeah, that was the hardest part.
What was the favorite part of writing the book?
My favorite part is now on the other side, now that I can see that it's final. I told my kids about it. I told, hey, mommy brought you a book. It's full of stories so you get to know. And I did not expect this either, but both of my kids were like, wow, new bedtime stories. And I just floated on tears. I was like, totally worth it. It's gonna be read one day. They can read themselves. But they were actually interested. And when I showed them, there's a picture of them in the book, and I got the approved copy of the paperback. And when I showed them, they were like, oh my God, this is my book. And I'm like, yes, it is. So that's my favorite part so far.
That's so sweet. What an amazing thing that you can give your kids. Like that is like the best gift that you can give them. That's
I really thought that. I mean, my kids are 3 and 4. I really thought they were like, yeah, that's boring.
No, it's exciting because you got to think about even at 3 or 4, the way that your kids look at you, like you're superwoman to them. And so when you have this book that is yours and now that they can call theirs, like that's such a beautiful, powerful thing. Like you're their superwoman.
Yes, yes. And I love that. I live for those moments of where we can just connect and say we did this together because we honestly did. You like this project started as mine, but I couldn't have done it without my husband's infinite support and coaching, my kids, even like, I had to sneak out a few of the weekends that is normally family time. I had to really concentrate on editing and my family. I had a friend that I would call crying all the time, like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. And so it definitely takes a village. I'm a huge fan of having somebody on my corner, and I couldn't have done it without them.
Well, I think that's awesome too, because you said so much came up. So you need people to be able to bounce stuff off of, because you can't really do the healing work unless you're like reflecting on what you're doing and having people to connect with and be around. That's so awesome. I remember asking you a question about coaches and you're like, which one? I have a village of them. I have like a whole team of them. And I was like, that's so awesome. It really does take a village, but that's gotten lost in our society nowadays. We're like expected as women and as moms to just do it all by ourselves, but that's not how it works. And I don't believe that's how it should work.
Yeah, and honestly, I even had to put a little pause on my business because I realized that I had all this healing work to do, and when you're in the midst of it, sometimes you're not in a place to support others, and sometimes yes you are. Sometimes you can separate, but there was part of this book writing that I was not in a position to, and it's honoring the fact that I wasn't. I'm being
Yes.
completely authentic to say like, oh, I have to put a pause on this because I promise you 120% of me, and right now I can barely give myself 50% of it. So I'm in a position to be giving.
That's such a beautiful thing. I had to put a pause on it. Like instead of like giving up, instead of quitting and thinking in a very negative mindset, putting a pause on something. That's such a beautiful way to phrase that, and such a beautiful thing to do for yourself and for your clients. All right. So if you could pick one part of the book, like a little sneak peek into one part of the book, what's your favorite?
My favorite, I think, is the last part of it where I'm really inviting everybody to take ownership of what it is that you are as a whole human for all that you are. So there's a part in which I tell you like why dancing is important to me, why hiking is important to me, how they both have helped me heal, and how they're part of who I am, and they're like on my everyday base. Not hiking, because but dancing definitely is. And it's just that invitation of really embracing who you are, authentically, really accepting yourself, so then you can owning yourself, create the life that you want. That is, I think, that my favorite part of the book because I feel like for so many years I didn't believe that that was possible. I
Yeah.
didn't think that the dream life was for everybody, and it is. So I want to share that because I feel like I didn't know that years ago, and if there's people out there that still don't know that, they should definitely know.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you thought that?
Why? Mm, for so many reasons. I really thought that, well, I moved here without speaking the language. So for a long time, I blamed a lot of of me staying safe on the fact that I had an accent. People didn't understand me. I
Yeah.
was from here. I didn't really understand the culture. My culture from Mexico is a lot more traditional and more uptight in a lot of things. So I had trouble adjusting, and I didn't think I had the freedom to fully adjust. I thought that I had to honor my Mexican culture. So I had all these, not excuses, but like really blocks that kept me that, oh, no, no, this is my line, you know, I have to
Yes.
stick to my lane and I'm not gonna overstep. I wouldn't want to offend anybody. That's another thing. I didn't want to like overshine somebody. And yeah, I think that those are the big ones. I didn't really think I was worthy of it.
Yeah.
But I don't want my kids
Gener-
to feel this way. That's why I was like, no, heal it, heal it, heal it, because my kids they can do whatever they want.
Amen. Societal and generational chains will definitely, that head trash will definitely keep you stuck if you don't bust through that and break
Yeah.
those chains.
And then
And you know, I'm a big advocate for that.
yeah, you know what? I realized that I had this until I had my kids in my arms, and I felt some of them come up, and I was like, oh no, no, no. I hated that growing up. I remember how it felt. I'm not passing this on. And it's taking that ownership of like, right now I had this, and if I don't heal it, they're gonna have it too, just the way that I
Yes.
do. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing. I know that the ebook it comes out today, right?
Yes, today.
Yes, the ebook version. Yay. That's so exciting. Where can people find that?
It's on Amazon. You can either find it by On Your Dance or by Telma Sanchez, and you should be able to buy your copy of the electronic book for 99 cents only, just because
Oh,
I am trying to just share. Like, honestly, this is a message that I wish a lot of more people knew about. And I know what it feels like to not feel worthy. So I hope that nobody feels that way, and especially nobody passes that to your kids.
yes. That's awesome. So I'm excited. I can't wait to read it. I'm like very, very excited to read your book.
I
Very excited.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. I think we're gonna trip on a few things.
So I'm going to do something fun before we end today. Locke and I have a podcast. My husband and I have a podcast, and we ask a couple questions at the end of every podcast. So I'm going to ask you because I think this ties really well in with this series. Um, how do you want to be remembered for blazing your own trail?
Oh, I want to be remembered as the person that lived it fullest, that took the risk without, I mean, being a little scared, but still never really like back down from something that I really wanted to do due to fear. And by knowing, showing by example what I ask for of my kids, what I ask of my family, what I ask from, I also give. And so, yeah, leading by example, showing up for my youth and my community, and loving, picking love over fear.
Oh, that's awesome. The next question is a two-part question.
Okay.
What chains held you back in the past? So what things held you back in the past, and what chains may still be holding you back now?
In the past, it's definitely a lot of the culture. I really didn't want to disrespect my elders, my family, the secrets that were kept. I thought that it was dishonoring them for a long time. And my accent. I definitely hid behind my accent for a long, long time. For a while, I wouldn't even leave a voicemail. So I have gone a long way. And the ones that might be holding me back are, well, through this book, I got to revisit a lot of the worthiness, and I think that's definitely I'm a work in progress still on that. And compassion. I did not learn the concept of compassion as a kid, and it's something that I really want to teach. So I have to practice a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for going live with me, Telma. This is so exciting. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you and be helping each other grow and evolve and break through our chains and our generational and our societal stuff.
All of it. I'm so grateful that we crossed paths, that you have been such an inspiration. I try not to miss a coffee talk on Fridays because it's so inspirational, and I just put it aloud, and my husband has even commented on it, which is so exciting because I really, really admire the fact that you're in this together. I feel like that definitely makes a power couple, and for your kids, that's even more beautiful. But I am so appreciative. I love the fact that you are my first live, and I honestly love our conversations because they're always so authentic. Some of these conversations are hard to have with people that are in your everyday life, but with you it's so easy. So thank you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And I hope that when I read the book and I'll get to know you a little bit better, I'm hoping that we can do these more often and go a little bit deeper into the generational societal stuff.
Absolutely. I'm definitely game because I honestly feel like I talk about in my book about the cultural ones because I'm from Mexico City, and for that one, for me, that helped me back for a long time. But honestly, regardless of your culture, their generational chains are no joke. No, they're just no. way to escape them. There's really the repetition that you have seen generation tras generation makes you really think that they're a fact, and they should be kept, and they should be obeyed, and they should be honored. I don't know. I don't know how that makes any sense. It doesn't, but because we learned it and it's engraved in our brain, gosh, they can really hold you back. And the worst thing is that you know they didn't serve you. It's not
Yes.
that toxic relationship that you're like, oh, I know that boyfriend sucks, but he's gonna have one more date. Like you just kind of give in into what's considered the right thing to do, and it's so not worth it. And it's so not, it's keeping you tight, but I don't know how to explain how it's keeping you from really unleashing your own potential and your own authenticity until you really start studying it. Like, oh my gosh, the value of honoring yourself and like never compromising your own beliefs, it's it's what I really wish for everybody. So anytime, I am very passionate about this topic too, because I hope that many feel empowered to break those chains, to choose your own path, pave it, and honor it every day.
Yes. And I can relate to what you said about becoming a mother. And that's when it became very clear, because that's when it became clear for me as well. And it was like I kept having another baby and it just kept coming more clear. And I think it's just because you just look at these humans and you're just like, I don't want to repeat this stuff, this conditioning that feels gross to me. I don't want to repeat this.
Right.
And I just think that's like a really, really huge thing. And I think it's beautiful that you're doing it, because not everybody does this work. This work is not for
It's, you
everybody,
know
but
what?
I,
It's not easy, and
no.
that's why I feel like people should know that they don't have to do it alone. But because it's
Yes.
so worth it, but it's not easy. It's not beautiful, but it's so worth it. You know, like it's, and honestly, there's a lot of people that have different wake up calls. For me and you, I love the fact that we have that in common, because if, honestly, I had a super comfortable, safe life. I was living what I thought was my best life in a great corporate position. I do have a beautiful, like amazing husband that is super supportive. The house, all the things that people expect from you, I have them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still super grateful from them. But I didn't have exactly what I really needed at my core, and I didn't even know how to ask. Shit, I didn't even know I was worth of asking for it. So
Yeah.
it's, but when you meet your little human, you're like, no, you are worth it. You're worth everything. So how do I teach you that? You know?
Yeah, it's true. And it's just, and I do think you're right. I think everybody, it comes, some people never get to this point, and some people it's like their bottom or their rock bottom is different, and everybody's is different.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge thing you mentioned too, though, because I think some people, I hear people that are like in their 40s or 50s that are like, I'm too old to do this, or it's too late for me. And I'm like, it absolutely is never too late.
You know what's
Like,
hilarious? That I have been having those conversations with a lot of people, are like, oh, you wrote a book, you didn't just talk about it. I'm like, and so can you. Like, it doesn't,
yes,
this has nothing to do with physique, with your age, with your conditioning, with if your kids are already old, none of it. Like, but honestly, by you doing the work, me doing the work, others notice it, and it is something, that freedom that we start embracing, and start radiating. People do want that, and I'm here for it. Please don't tie any type of limitations to it. I mean, I'm
yeah,
Mexican. I have an accent. I didn't speak English. I still don't write it really well. You will find a typo on the book. Just it's all these things, but you can do it anyway. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I feel like most of us get stuck on like that. Well, you should do it right. You should be like a professional before you try something. No, just do it messy. Do it and do it for yourself.
yes, exactly. Do it for yourself and do it messy. It doesn't need to be perfect. Or there's the instant gratification thing, wanting things to happen quickly. And then when they don't, then just don't do it anyway. And that was me for a while, getting ready to get ready. Like getting ready to get ready to get ready. And it's like, when are you going to do the thing, Ashley? And I'm like, yeah, someday. I don't have enough information yet, so I can't do it.
Somebody has a quote, I think it was Patrice Washington, that said, knowledge is all the books that you collect, all the podcasts that you hear, all the things, but it's not until you really take the action that you become a wise person, or that it becomes wisdom. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of action. Like wisdom doesn't never required perfectionism, never required it to be done right the first time and it's amazing. Like, yeah, get ready for the ready. I totally did that for a few years, and I'm so good at it too. I'm really good at it.
It's like, there's never a perfect time. And usually, like, the worst time is like the time to be doing it. Like, the time where you're like, oh, this is like the worst time to be doing it is like the best time to be doing it. And so, like, just doing the thing. I always say, just do the damn thing. Just
Yes,
do it.
thing. It's also like when you feel the most scared, that's when you think is the worst time to do it, because that
Yes.
fear is like, no, but you have this and you have this and you have kids and you have a job and you have that is just is that fear driving you to safety net and for everything that you know. But it's really not. It doesn't have to be that way. You can do it anyway, and it will work out.
Yes. Well, thank you again. And I'm so glad that we did this, and I want to do this again soon. And I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the series that you have going on. I
Thanks.
saw the lineup. You have an awesome lineup. So this is really exciting. And I'm really honored to be day one of your series. Own it.
I think the hardest topic, generational change, is not something that people are like, oh wow, what a hot topic. But it is so important. It is so important. So thank you so much. And of course, I'm open to do anything all the time. And I really appreciate the opportunity, the space, and the conversation always.
Well, thank you, Telma. Have a wonderful day.
You
Thank
too.
you, friends, for joining.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.